In the remote countryside of Germany, there once stood a farm where silence reigned, but not the peaceful kind, the eerie kind that hints at secrets buried beneath the soil. A family lived there, until one night they didn't. What happened on that isolated farm would become one of the darkest mysteries in history. This is the chilling story of the Hinterkaifeck murders. Every mystery begins with its players. Hinterkaifeck wasn't just any farm. Nestled deep in the Bavarian forests, miles away from the nearest village, it stood in eerie isolation. The only signs of life were the occasional plumes of smoke from the chimney and the livestock roaming the fields. But what really made the farm infamous wasn't its solitude, it was the family that lived there. At the heart of Hinterkaifeck was the Gruber family. Andreas Gruber, a 63-year-old farmer known for his harsh demeanor and reclusive nature. Cecilia Gruber, his 72-year-old wife, equally reserved and known for rarely venturing beyond the farm. Their daughter, Victoria Gabriel, 35, was a widow with 2 children, Cecilia, a lively 7-year-old, Josef, a 2-year-old boy whose paternity was shrouded in whispers. Many believed he was the result of an incestuous relationship between Victoria and her father, Andreas. Adding to this already complex household was Maria Baumgartner, the new maid, who had only arrived at the farm on the day of the tragedy. She wouldn't even last 24 hours. The family was known to be distant from the rest of the village. Rumors surrounded them, dark rumors. But in this quiet corner of Bavaria, secrets had a way of staying locked behind closed doors. Until they didn't. Sometimes, evil doesn't strike without warning. It whispers first. In the weeks leading up to the murders, the Gruber family began experiencing a series of strange, unexplained events. One night, Andreas discovered footprints in the snow, leading from the dense forest to the back door of the farmhouse. But here's the chilling part. There were no footprints leading back out. Inside the home, they heard unexplained noises coming from the attic. Andreas searched, but found nothing, or so he claimed. Keys went missing, only to reappear days later. A newspaper unfamiliar to the family appeared on their doorstep, even though no one in the household had purchased it. It was as if someone, or something, was watching them. But despite these ominous signs, life went on at Hinterkaifeck. The Grubers, hardened by their secluded lifestyle, brushed off the incidents. After all, what could happen in the middle of nowhere? But they didn't know the nightmare that was about to unfold. When neighbors knock and no one answers, the silence can be deafening. April 4th, 1922. It had been several days since anyone had seen or heard from the Gruber family. Concerned neighbors, noticing the unusual quiet, decided to check in. What they found would haunt them forever. In the barn, the bodies of Andreas, Cecilia, Victoria, and little Cecilia were discovered. Each had been brutally bludgeoned with a mattock, a farm tool used for cutting through hard soil. The scene was gruesome. Blood pooled on the floor, and the victims were covered with hay, as if the killer had tried to hide his work. Inside the farmhouse, the horror continued. Maria Baumgartner, the maid who had barely started her job, lay dead in her room. Josef, the youngest of the family, was found lifeless in his crib. But the most chilling detail? The killer had stayed on the farm. He fed the livestock, ate the family's food, and even kept the household running, while their lifeless bodies lay just a few feet away. This wasn't a simple crime of passion or theft. This was something far darker, a calculated massacre, a mystery that would grip Germany and the world for decades to come. In the aftermath of tragedy, the search for answers begins. But what if the answers only lead to more questions? The Hinterkaifeck murders sparked one of the largest investigations in German history. Yet, from the very start, the case was riddled with complications. Local police, unfamiliar with handling such a gruesome crime, struggled to piece together what had happened. The murder weapon, a mattock, was found on the property, smeared with blood, but it offered no fingerprints or clues. No valuables were stolen, ruling out robbery as a motive. Even more disturbing, the autopsy revealed that young Cecilia had survived for several hours after the attack. She lay in the barn, pulling out tufts of her own hair in agony before finally succumbing to her injuries. Investigators believe the killer lured each family member, one by one, into the barn before slaughtering them. But why? And who would have the cold-hearted precision to carry out such a crime? As the days passed, a list of suspects began to form, each with their own dark connections to the Gruber family. Every shadow hides a suspect, and every theory unveils a new layer of horror. Several theories emerged, each more chilling than the last. Suspect number 1, Lorenz Schlittenbauer. Lorenz was a local farmer and a former lover of Victoria. In fact, some believed he was the real father of young Josef. After the murders, Lorenz exhibited suspicious behavior, including being one of the first to discover the bodies and disturb the crime scene. Some witnesses claimed he appeared unusually calm, even unlocking doors that should have been bolted shut. Was it because he knew the layout of the farm? Or because he had something to hide? Motive? Could jealousy or unresolved tensions with Victoria have driven him to commit the murders? Suspect number 2, a disgruntled farmhand. The Grubers were known to treat their farmhands poorly, often withholding wages or forcing them to work under harsh conditions. One former worker, in particular, had threatened revenge against Andreas before disappearing from the village. Motive? Could this have been a crime of vengeance, carried out by someone who knew the farm's routines intimately? Suspect number 3, an unknown drifter. In the early 20th century, Germany's rural areas were often visited by vagrants and drifters seeking food or shelter. Some believe a stranger could have stumbled upon the isolated farm, choosing it as the perfect place to carry out a random act of violence. But this theory falls apart when you consider the precision of the crime. Would a drifter have stayed on the farm, feeding the animals and maintaining the household? Finally, there are those who believe the Hinterkaifeck murders were the work of something far more sinister than a human hand. The eerie footprints, the strange noises in the attic, and the whispers of occult practices in the region all point to the possibility of a supernatural force. While unlikely, this theory continues to captivate those who believe in the darker forces lurking in the world. Each theory brings us closer to understanding the horror, and yet the truth remains as elusive as ever. Some mysteries fade with time. This one only grows darker. A century has passed since the Hinterkaifeck murders, yet the case remains unsolved. Despite numerous investigations, both official and amateur, no one has ever been charged with the crime. The farm itself was eventually demolished, leaving nothing but an empty field where the Gruber family once lived and died. But the story of Hinterkaifeck has left an indelible mark on popular culture. Countless books, documentaries, and podcasts have been dedicated to unraveling the mystery. To this day, true crime enthusiasts and historians alike continue to piece together the puzzle, hoping that new evidence or a long-forgotten clue might one day surface. The Hinterkaifeck murders remain a haunting reminder of how evil can lurk in the most unsuspecting places. Will we ever know the truth? Or is this one mystery destined to remain unsolved forever? What do you think happened on that cold Bavarian night? Do you have a theory? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for joining us on this chilling journey into one of history's darkest mysteries. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more true crime stories, unsolved mysteries, and eerie tales from the past. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss a new upload. Have your own theory about what happened at Hinterkaifeck? Drop it in the comments below. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Until next time, stay curious and stay safe.